Jungkook, are you even listening to yourself? How many times I have to repeat myself that I don't want any female assistant for me? Mark is out of city because of some family issues. He is my assistant, Mr. John. We know that, Jungkook, but he is on leave for 3 months. Until then, I have arranged a female assistant for you, and that's my friend's daughter, mine. She is studying business, and I know her. She deserves this post. Jungkook scoffed and sat on the couch in front of Mr. and Mrs. Jeon, who were looking at him with expressionless look. Can't you understand one thing, that getting a assistant is not a problem? It's just I don't want a female assistant. Mr. John, I didn't got any male assistant. Jungkook looked at him being done and said, "You don't have to worry, I will find it on my own." Mr. Jim, ain't gonna happen because I have promised my friend that her daughter will join from tomorrow. Jungkook, what? How can you do this without asking me? Mr. John, I am the boss, Jungkook. Do I have to take your permission? Jungkook, Mom, I didn't mean that. He said softly, and Mrs. John knew she hit the spot. You have to change your mindset, Jungkook. If Leah used you for money, then that doesn't mean every girl is like that. I don't want to hear anything. If you respect me, then you have to accept Vine as your assistant. Jungkook looked down and closed his eyes in anger. He knew now he don't have any choice. Fine. Mr. and Mrs. John proudly looked at each other and Jungkook dashed inside his room. Mr. John, he don't know what is coming towards him. Mrs. John, I hope Vine will make him understand. Mr. John, yes, she will, I know her, but her way will be different. Mrs. John chuckled because they knew Vine was not a easy one. They knew their son will do anything to make her surrender and leave the job, but there was a reason why they had selected Vine. She was having a soft smile on her face. Jungkook looked at her from top to bottom and said coldly, "What's with that smile? You are an assistant. Behave professionally." Her smile was gone and she frowned slightly. Mr. Jeon had already warned her about Jungkook's hate towards women, but she didn't expect it this. Jungkook, you are fresh graduate and also you don't have any experience, but still dad gave this post to you. You have to work hard. One mistake and I won't hesitate to fire you. Fine, you won't get any complaints, sir. I will try my best. Jungkook, try. You are going to try. I want perfection. Vine smirked slightly and said, you are not freshly graduate and also you have experience, but still you don't know that there is nothing known as a perfection. Jungkook frowned and said, who gave you the right to answer me back? I am your boss. I can fire you right now, right here in a second. He said angrily, but Vine only smirked and said, no, you can't because I was appointed by Mr. John and as far as I know, he can never fire me. Jungkook stood up from his place and said angrily, Vine glared at him and went out of the room while shouting the door loudly, making him close his eyes. Jungkook looked at the door and said angrily, I know I can't force you, but I will make sure you leave it on your own, man. The war between both of them had started and they knew it wouldn't end so soon. The phone fell from her hand and she slowly turned around and saw a fuming red Jungkook who was standing at the door. She stood up slowly and shuddered but said angrily, why don't you know how to knock? How dare you to come inside when I was having my private call? Jungkook scoffed and said while coming inside, private call? Well, I thought you were having sweet talk with my father and the topic was me or about cold. Why not my fault? Your father called me to know how was our first meeting, so I told him the truth. Jungkook looked at her angrily and pulled her towards him, holding her shoulder. Vine gulped when she saw him this close. Jungkook, don't get on my nerves. Vine, relax. I'm just giving your nerves some exercise. Jungkook, you shouldn't play with fire, Vine. Vine, too late, Jungkook. I've been playing and it's kind of fun. She winked at him and he left her shoulder. Jungkook, no matter what you do, I want the report on time. Saying that, he went out of there angrily and Vine smirked. Jungkook was about to pick that cup, but before him, Vine picked it and took a sip from it, making Jungkook and Andrew shocked. She looked at him and said with a smile, "Sorry, Mr. John, it was not supposed to be yours because it was made by me, and you don't like me, or more specifically, you don't like women." Andrew seriously lips, trying to stop his laugh. Vine wiggled her eyebrows and left from there, and Jungkook looked at Andrew with a glare. Andrew burst in laugh. "Did you look at her? That's how she behaved with me." "Andrew, okay, so that is the problem, huh? You want her to behave with you nicely, but why? Do you like her?" Jungkook looked at him shocked. "What? No. Me and her? No way." Andrew smirked because he was seeing something. "Look, one thing is clear. She is not like others, so you should your mind now. Don't hate her." "Jungkook, I don't hate her." Andrew looked at him with a smirk and said, "Yeah, because you." "Jungkook, don't you dare to complete it." Soon Jungkook left from there, but before leaving office, he called someone and said, Vine gulped when she saw him coming inside. "Well, Miss Vine, you were telling someone that I have a problem, so please tell me what is it." Vine was sitting on a chair and Jungkook came in front of her. He leaned forward and kissed her between his arms. She gulped. "Why don't you call again to that person and share my life with it? And just like that, I will also share your life, how you found your fiance with someone else, or more specifically, with your best friend." Vine looked at him shocked at how does he know about all this. Jungkook surprised. "Well, I guess your story is a bit similar with mine, Vine." Vine looked at him with and said, "No, Jungkook, our story is not same because I don't hold myself in my past. I don't cry like you and hate people or myself for what others did with me in the past. I made them regret cheating on me and I moved on. I'm not holding myself back and I'm proud of myself." Vine took a file and put that in his hand report, saying that she picked up her bag and left from there, leaving an expressionless Jungkook. Jungkook punched the table and messed up his hairs. "Why am I feeling guilty?" One week was past and things were going same between them. Sometimes they work together being all professional, but sometimes they end up making fun of each other. Jungkook tries a lot to make her leave the job, but deep down he was enjoying it and it was the part of his life now. And for Vine, she was doing her job as she needed it, but it was getting fun for her now. But one day things changed. Jungkook closed his eyes tightly and said, "Fine then, do whatever you guys want." Mr. and Mrs. John smirked secretly and Jungkook noticed that. "Jungkook, who will marry me now? Whom you want to push in this with me?" Mr. and Mrs. John looked at each other and said, "Kim Wine." Jungkook stood up and shouted, "No, never." Their life was about to get a turn, which will be interesting. To be continued. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos.